your Mild Mannered Mage, and welcome to another episode of Breaking Boxes. I have with me a box that I actually meant to record back during the Christmas holiday, and just unfortunately with, family obligations and, just different things going on, was not able to get this recorded. So I'm happy to have some spare time today to get this recorded for y'all and get it up and running. And that box, of course, is the latest Secret Lair Commander deck, 20 Ways to Win. Now, this deck, as y'all may be familiar, is the latest. I think this is now the fourth or fifth commander deck from the Secret Lair series. And this particular deck, I think it's helmed by the Shrine Commander. And the thing about it is it has 20 different win conditions on top of regular damage and on top of commander damage. So there's 20 different ways to win, including those two win conditions. So I'm kind of excited to kind of get into this and see all the new reprints that it's got in it, and then all the different cards that come with it. We'll try to go through this. We'll look at all the different cards in it. I don't think I'll approach this like I will with the War Council videos that I do, but we'll look at all the different cards that come in it and talk about how they can be used in the deck, and we'll just see what and all that comes with it. The retail, I think, on this was $149.99. I'll have to go back and double check the my invoice from when I got it. Was able to get this fairly easily. I don't think there was as much hype around it as there was like the Ren and Siri deck or the Angel deck. I do have the OG Commander deck, the coin flip deck, so that's pretty awesome. So I'm excited to break into this and see what and all it comes with. And okay, so this has 100 card deck, 10 new cards, traditional foil display commander, 12 tokens, deck box, life wheel, strategy insert, and a reference card. And then it has where we can go and look at the full deck list. So when we get back from the break, we will be cracking into this bad boy. Hang tight, and we'll see you in a minute. And we are back with this episode of Breaking Boxes, and we're breaking into Secret Lair Commander 20 Ways to Win. And as always, thank y'all for hanging out with me as we go through this YouTube journey. And as a thank you, we've got, if I can get them uncovered, a couple of arena codes there for you, just for hanging out. So I appreciate y'all joining me as we go through and open all these packs, talk about cards and everything. So there you go. Be sure to check out the rest of the channel. We have our Breaking Boxes series where we open up packs, we open up boxes, any magic related product that I can get my hands on, and we just kind of talk magic. We also have Arena Antics, where I go online and play Arena and pretend like I know what I'm doing. And then we have War Council, where we go through and we do some deck tech videos and talk about some of my personal commander decks and how I build them and how you can use them to hopefully beat your opponents and traumatize your friends. So again, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe. Turn on notifications so you know when the next video drops, and you can grab these codes and watch these videos. All right, so let's get into this box and see what's in it. Alright, got this little foil silly sticker on it. Okay, there we go. Toss that off to the side. Okay. And we've got a thank you for being part of Secret Lair. 20 ways to win, master them all. And it's got a checklist of all the different ways. So, Forget Your Sunscreen, Approach of the Second Sun, Barbershop Quartet by a Visionary, Here Kitty Kitty, Felidar Sovereign, Splish Splash, Halo Fountain, Storybook Ending, Happily Ever After, Tower of Power, Helix Pinnacle, Bull in a China Shop, Hellkite Tyrant, Notarized, Liliana's Contract, Face the Music, Mael's Area, Gatecrasher, Maze's End, Eighth Wonder, Mechanized Production, A Penny Saved, Revel in Riches, Counterpunch, Simic Ascendancy, Go the Distance, Test of Endurance, Baker's Dozen, Trixodecaphile, Ribbit, 20-Toed Toad, Ribbit 2, The Ribbiting, 20-Toed Toad. If you want a job done right, deal 21 commander damage. Oh, reliable. Reduce last opponent's life to 0. The library is closed. Mill somebody out. Okay, so that's a nice little checklist of the different ways that you can win using this deck. Okay. Hit that a little bit. Get that camera back in place. Okay. If anybody has a good recommendation on a camera stand, that would be helpful. Because I get tired of hitting this camera stand. Alright, and then here is our commander deck box. This has a little bit different feel. It's a little slicker. Like that. That's funny. Oh. That's funny with all the different X's on it, with the different ways to win. I like the little logo guy there. That's cute. And we get in here, little spacer. Here's our life counter. What is this? A little poster thingy. Interesting. Alright. Oh, it's the commander art. There is in there. Alright, so let's open this bad boy up. Alright, so there's a bunch of fun different cards, and then alright, here's our tokens. Oh, here's our bonus card, I think. So we'll look at that in a minute. Trying to get this kind of sorted out a little bit. Okay, there we go. All right, so I tell you what we're going to do. Instead of y'all watching me sort through this a little bit, when we get back from the break, I'm going to go through and just kind of sort this out some and try to figure out, you know, all the sorceries, enchantments, and whatnot, and then we'll come back and take a look at all those. So when we get back, I'll have this mess sorted a little bit, and we'll take a look at it. All right, and we are back, and I have gone through and kind of sorted and shuffled and tried to make a little sense of this deck. And what I've done is I've just kind of separated it out into a couple of different categories, just keeping it to the basics, you know, land, instant sorcery, enchantment, creatures, artifacts, and planeswalkers. Just to kind of talk through the cards and what they're doing with them and everything. So, again, as a thank you for hanging out with me, here is another MTG Arena code. Again, don't forget to give us a like, give us a subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when the next video drops. We'll leave this up here for another second. And there we go. All right. So, again, this is 20 Ways to Win. And this is a 5-color deck. And I have an affinity for 5-color decks. I had to really kind of stop myself there for a while because I was making a lot of 5-color decks. I had a 5-color dragon deck, I had an elemental deck, I had a scarecrow deck, I made a Sisay All My Friends and Praetors deck that was 5-color. It's like, you know, my land base can't take much more of this. So I had to kind of cool my jets on the 5-color decks. But, you know, it's really cool that they made a pre-con 5-color deck. So I really didn't have to go through and do anything with it. So the commander for this deck is Goshintai of Life's Origin. A legendary enchantment creature shrine. Goshintai is a 3/4, and we're getting new art for Goshintai, which is kind of a nice little shrine. And we've got kind of a Buddha-y raccoon, I think, sitting in the shrine, hanging out, you know, having a good time. And Goshintai is a 3/4 for a green and 3. And you can pay Wooburg and tap Goshintai to return target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this is kind of an enchantment heavy deck. So that is very beneficial. And whenever Goshintai of Life's Origin or another non-token shrine you control enters, you make a 1/1 shrine enchantment creature token. And they did give us a plethora of tokens from all over the place to include in this deck, including a new shrine token, a 1/1 enchantment creature shrine. And again, this is just kind of a up close of that shrine with the raccoony Buddha figure sitting in the shrine hanging out. And it is foily. And we did get 2 of those, and these are the only non-double-sided tokens. And then from here, we have some spirits, and these spirits are new arts, so you can tell from the symbol down here. So we got 2 spirits, some Thopters, and this is, I believe, the Kamigawa Neon Genesis Commander deck symbol. And then we got some treasures from Kamigawa. Some samurai with double strike from March of the Machine, I think it is. Yep, there's another spirit. And then on the back side of these, here's a clue. I think that is the Commander Masters that just came out. Shapeshifters from Double Masters. Citizens from New Capenna. Copies from Ixalan. Shapeshifters from Kaldheim. And then a clue from that Commander Masters. So there we go. So we got a nice fat stack of the clues. So let's take a look first at our land base. Now we know that one of our ways to win is with mazes in. So I did go through and take a quick look-see, and they included a nice fat stack of gates. Now, mazes in, I think you only need 10 gates in to win, and there are 19 that are included in this deck. So you've got a good chance of hitting a gate. So we've got Baldur's Gate, Simic Guild Gate, Selesnya Guild Gate, the Sea Gate, Rakdos, Orzhov, Manor Gate, Izzet Guild Gate, the Heap Gate, Gruul Gate, Guild Gate, Gond Gate, Golgari, Gateway Plaza, Dimir, Black Dragon Gate, Boros, Citadel, Cliffgate, Azorius, and that is it. And then from here, one thing that I noticed is I don't think there's actually a lot of... I only see 2 basics. So you get a forest and a plains, and then everything else is a non-basic. So a Blood Moon is going to hurt. Or if somebody hits you where you have to do something till you hit a basic land, it's going to hurt. Command Tower, Darksteel Citadel. Oh, Forbidden Orchard, that's nice. You tap it. Oh, that gives a spirit to an opponent. Path of Ancestry. I'm trying to look to see if there's any fun lands that we don't normally see. The Forbidden Orchard is one that I don't see a lot of. Reflecting Pool, that's nice. And the World Tree. World Tree... lets you pay double Wooburg to go get any number of God cards. That's kind of interesting because I only saw 1 God. Okay, actually, I think I know what they're going for with that. So, looking at their instance for this, we've got Clever Concealment, 2 white and 2. Any number of target non-land permanents you control phase out. So, good way to protect yourself. Kind of a cheaper Teferi's protection. Heliod's Intervention. Destroy X target artifacts or enchantments, and then target you choose one. Target player gains twice X life for 2 white and X. Drown in Dreams for blue 2 and an X. Target player draws X cards, or target player mills twice X cards, and if you have your commander, you can choose both. So that's pretty neat. And then Sphinx's Revelation for 2 blue, a white, and X. Gain X life, draw X cards. Now we know that one of the some of the win cons revolve around life and number of cards in hand. So that's trying to get you to get your life up to a certain level and getting your cards in hands up to a certain level. Also, one of the win cons is milling. So trying to mill your opponents out. For sorcery, we've got a bit of protection here. Supreme Verdict, destroy all creatures, cannot be countered. Eerie Ultimatum, which is really good, for 2 white, 3 black, 2 green. Return any number of permanent cards with different names from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's a fun one. Rite of Replication, create a token that's a copy of target creature. If this spell was kicked, so this is 2 blue and 2, kick it for 5, so for 2 blue and 7, make 5 copies of that creature instead. And we have the Biovisionary is one of our win cons, where you have 4 copies of it, I think. Tragic Arrogance, 2 white and 3. For each player, you choose among the permanents that player controls an artifact, creature, and enchantment, and a planeswalker. Then each player sacrifices all other non-land permanents he or she controls. So a great way to kind of wipe the board in your favor. Austere Command, again another classic board wipe. 2 white and 4, choose 2, destroy all artifacts, all enchantments, all creatures with mana value 3 or less, or all creatures with mana value 4 or greater. And then Circuitous Route, green and 3, search your library for up to 2 basic lands and or gate cards, and then put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. This is really good because you've got all those gate cards that you're looking to pull for Maze's End. Let's take a look real quick at our artifacts and our second really new art. We've got new art on the Soul Ring, and we've got these fun raccoons. Lots of fun here. I like that. So Soul Ring, pay 1, tap it for 2. And this is what I was thinking about for that World Tree. Pay 2 double Wooburg to go get all your gods. Masked Nexus for 4 mana. Creatures you control are every creature type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. So this would include, I think, creatures that are in your library. So you have Masked Nexus on the field, World Tree on the field, pay the double Wooburg, sack it. This allows you to go get every creature that's in your library, because they're also gods, and put them onto the battlefield. I think that's what they were going for with that. Chromatic Lantern, perfect in this deck because it's a Wooburg deck, 5 color. You need that mana fixing. Arcane Signet, and a Lightning Greaves. Then we have all of our creatures. So we've got a nice selection of creatures in here. We have a Hangerback Walker. It enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. When it dies, put a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying onto the battlefield for each 1/1 counter that was on it. And then you can pay 1 to put a 1/1 counter on Hangerback Walker. We've got Kianos and Tiro Miladus, red, green, white, and blue. At the beginning of your end step, draw a card. Then each player may put a land card from his or her hand onto the battlefield. Then each opponent who didn't draws a card. This really helps you with that Maze's End trigger, trying to get as many lands onto the battlefield as you can. Fabra Elder is a 0/0. Gets +1/+1 for each color, so it's going to be at most a 5/5. For each color among tap it for each color among permanents you control. Add 1 mana of that color. Augur of Autumn, one of my favorite cards. 2 green and 1 for a human druid. You can look at the top card of your library. You can play lands from the top card of your library. Again, playing into that Maze's End. And then if you have Coven, as long as you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you can cast creature spells from the top of your library. Again, get moving through that library, trying to get as many lands and trying to get to the next important spell that you need. And then pairing that with Dryad of the Elysian Grove, being able to play additional lands on your turn. And then this also gives you a Chromatic Lantern effect, where lands are every basic land type in addition to their other types. Forgotten Ancient lets you, whenever a player casts a spell, it gets bigger, so this gives you a nice big blocker. Plus, there is the 20-toed toad, that if it has 20 counters on it, you win. And this allows you to move 1/1 counters onto other creatures. So if you have a lot of counters on Forgotten Ancient, you can move them to the 20-toed toad and try to beef him up and get the win that way. Sanctum Weaver, add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of enchantments. You've got a fat stack of enchantments here, so I think you can get a lot of mana off of this. Seedborn Muse, untap all permanents you control during each other player's untap step. So that gives you a lot of good value as well, putting your blockers back up and giving you access to mana for some other things. Tireless Tracker, whenever a land enters the battlefield, investigate. So you get a clue. You sack a clue, put a 1/1 counter on him. So he gets bigger whenever you sack clues. Sacking a clue draws you a card. Cards in hand, more chances to win. Tarim Mauler is a very good, it's very similar to the Forgotten Ancient, except you can't pass those counters off. But whenever an opponent casts a spell, you can put a 1/1 counter on Tarim Mauler, and it's every creature type. Yahini Undying Partisan. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a 1/1 counter on Yahini. Sack another creature, it gains indestructible. Sun Titan. 2 white and 4 for a giant 6/6. Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. That way, if some of your important enchantments or some of your lands or anything that you might need, if it's mana value 3 or less and it's in your graveyard, him coming in will allow you to bring that back. So he's a great card. Sunscorch Regent. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, put a 1/1 counter on him and you gain a life. Again, there are some ways for you to win with life gain. Saheeli gives you, your planeswalkers, and other creatures you control +1, or hexproof, and then you can pay 6 to put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Again, thinking about that 20-toed toad. Mangara the Diplomat. White and 3 for a human cleric. Whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you, you get to draw a card. When an opponent casts their second spell, you get to draw a card. Drawing cards helps you win the game. Heliod, Sun Crowned. As long as your devotion to white is less than 5, it's not a creature. Whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on a creature or enchantment you control. And then you can pay 1 and white. Target creature gets lifelink until end of turn. Auric Champion for 2 white. Pro black and red. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you can gain a life. So lots of life gain in this, leaning into those trying to win the game via life gain. Soul's Attendant. When another creature enters the battlefield, you can gain a life. Again, the same thing. And then Morbid Opportunist. Black and 2 for a 1/3. Whenever one or more other creatures die, draw a card. This only triggers once a turn. So lots of good ways for you to gain life, making your creatures bigger. So lots of good creatures in there. Now let's take a look. Well, just bopped the camera. Let's not do that. Before we jump into the enchantments, which we got a fat stack of enchantments, we do have one singular planeswalker, the Eternal Wanderer, 2 white and 4. No more than one creature can attack the Eternal Wanderer each combat. Comes in with 5 loyalty. +1, exile up to 1 target artifact or creature. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of that player's next end step. For 0, create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with double strike. And then -4, for each player, choose a creature that player controls. Each player sacrifices all creatures they control, not chosen this way. So a board wipe coming in immediately can -4 her or ultimate her upon casting. And it can also make you bodies. So that's pretty awesome. Alright, so let's take a look now at these enchantments. Alright, we have Ghoulish Impetus. So this is to attach to an opponent's creature. Black and 2, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has Death Touch and is goaded. Whenever enchanted creature dies, return Ghoulish Impetus to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. So you can attach it to another creature. Mystic Remora with new artwork. 1 blue. Cumulative upkeep 1. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, you can draw a card unless that player pays 4. Never had a Mystic Remora, so this is good to kind of add to my repertoire. Pariah with new art. White and 2. Enchant creature. All damage that would be dealt to you is dealt to enchanted creature instead. So it's a good way to sacrifice a creature instead of yourself. Monologue Tax. White and 2. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, you create a treasure token. So if you got someone that usually casts multiple spells a turn, you can at least net a treasure off of them. Shiny Impetus. Enchant creature. Gets +2/+2 and is goaded. And when they attack, you get a treasure token. Fertile Ground. Whenever enchanted land is tapped, its controller adds an additional 1 mana of any color. So that nets you 2 manas. Lignify. Green and 1. Enchanted creature is a tree folk with base power and toughness 0/4 and loses all ability. So great way to nuke somebody's creature. Trace of Abundance. Red or white, and green. Enchanted land has Shroud. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional 1 mana of any color. Okay. That's pretty neat. Alseid of Life's Bounty. 1 white for a 1/1 for enchantment creature nymph with lifelink. And then you can sack it for 1. Target creature enchantment you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Great way to save a creature you control. Crib Swap. Oh, this is an instant. I got that in the wrong spot. Whoops. White and 2, Changeling. Exile target creature. Its controller creates a 1/1 color shapeshifter token. So that's a great way to get rid of a big threat and give them a 1/1 instead. That's pretty awesome. Let me grab a drink real quick. Ooh, new art on Ghostly Prison. White and 2. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you. I like that. And then finally, Darksteel Mutation, another great way to nuke somebody's big threat, and that big threat now becomes a 0/1 indestructible insect. I like it. All right. And then lastly, so hidden under this, we have our list of 20 ways to win, and I have all those cards pulled out right here for us to take a look at. Starting at the top, and this is where a lot of our fun arts are going to be. We have Approach of the Second Sun, and I think it's fun that the little raccoon baby has sunny side up eggs, so I think that's kind of fun. If this spell was cast from your hand and you've cast another spell named Approach of the Second Sun this game, you win the game. Otherwise, put this spell into its owner's library 7th from the top and you gain 7 life. So cast it once, gain 7 life, put this 7th from the top, and then cast it again, and you win the game. Biovisionary, this is another one that we were talking about earlier. At the beginning of the next end step, if you control 4 more creatures named Biovisionary, you win the game. It's just that easy. New art on Feldar Sovereign, 2 white and 4, Vigilance lifelink. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 40 or more life, you win the game. And we saw there's lots of lifelink, lots of ways to gain life in this deck. So that is very possible. Halo Fountain, white and 2. Pay a white, tap it, untap a tap creature you control, make a 1/1 citizen. Pay 2 white, tap it, untap 2 tapped creatures you control to draw a card. Pay 5 white, tap it, untap 15 tapped creatures you control to win the game. This fun little guy for Happily Ever After. White and 2. When this enchantment enters, each player gains 5 and draws a card. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 5 colors among permanents you control, this is a 5-color deck. There are 6 or more card types among permanents you control and or cards in your graveyard, and your life is greater than or equal to your starting life total, you win the game. So I think there is definite possible ways to win with Happily Ever After. Helix Pinnacle for a green. Shroud. X. Put X tower counters on this enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 100 or more tower counters on this enchantment, you win the game. But it's going to take you a long time to get there. Hellkite Tyrant. 2 red and 4 for flying trample. When it deals combat damage to a player, gain control of all artifacts that player controls. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 20 or more artifacts, you win the game. So this is all of our game-winning aspects. Liliana's Contract for 2 black and 3. At the beginning when this enchantment enters, you draw 4 cards and you lose 4 life. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more demons with different names, you win the game. So you're going to pair this with that Masquerade Nexus to win the game, because there's not any demon creatures in this deck. This is kind of an interesting old school card. Mael's Area for red, white, and green. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control if you control a creature with power 5 or greater. Then gain 10 life if you control a creature with power 10 or greater. And then you win the game if you control a creature with power 20 or greater. So that's pretty awesome. That's a slow burn to get there, but with the right combination of creatures, you can definitely win the game. We've talked about this card a lot already with our lands. Maze's Inn comes in tapped. You can tap it to add a colorless mana. And then you can pay 3 to tap it to return a land to its owner's hand, or return this land to its owner's hand. Search your library for a gate card, then put it onto the battlefield. Then shuffle. If you control 10 or more gates with different names, you win the game. Mechanized Production. Enchant artifact you control. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of enchanted artifact. Then if you control 8 or more of artifacts of the same name as another, you win the game. So if you enchant an artifact and you get 8 or more of that artifact, you win. New art on Revel in Riches. I'm going to need to get another one of this to put in my Prosper deck because I like that art. When a creature an opponent controls dies, so pair this with some of your kill spells. Make a treasure. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 10 or more treasures, you win the game. Simic Ascendancy for green and blue. You can pay green, blue, and 1 to put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. When 1 or more 1/1 counters are put on a creature you control, put that many growth counters on Simic Ascendancy. At the beginning of your upkeep, if this enchantment has 20 or more growth counters on it, you win the game. So this is a very easy way. I mean, you can explode with this with some of the 1/1 counters on here. The way that it produces 1/1 counters, and very easily win this game. You just have to survive, or this enchantment has to survive to your upkeep. Test of Endurance, another life one. If you have 50 or more life, you win the game for 2 white and 2. New art for Triskaidekaphile. White and 1, you have no max hand size at the beginning of your upkeep. If you have 13 cards in your hand, you win the game. And you can pay blue and 3 to draw a card. And lastly, we have the 20-toed toad. For a frog wizard from Bloomburrow for a 3/3, paying blue and 3. Your maximum hand size is 20. Whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, put a 1/1 counter on 20-toed toad and draw a card. Whenever 20-toed toad attacks, you win the game if there are 20 or more counters on it and you have 20 or more cards in hand. So you can win if you have 20 or more cards in hand, or if it has 20 or more counters on it. So pairing this with the Forgotten Ancient, moving the counters from Forgotten Ancient to 20-toed toad. So there's ways to get this big. And that is all the win cons that we have in this deck. Now there is one last card that we have not looked at yet. And that is the bonus card. So let's take a look at that real quick. And the bonus card, which is exceedingly cute, I have to admit. Look at that. Cute little fuzzy wizard. Enduring Ideal for 2 white and 5. Sorcery card. Search your library for an enchantment and put it onto the battlefield. And it has epic, which I think it means that's the only spell that you can cast this turn. My internet is being funky right now, so I am not sure. Oh, and I just booped the thing again. Oh, is it back up? Let me see. It looks like my internet is back up and I can do things. Let's see. I'm pretty sure epic means an epic spell is... Oh, it's different than what I was thinking. An epic spell is copied in its controller's upkeep on every turn for the rest of the game. Oh. In exchange for this powerful ability, the player can't cast spells for the rest of the game. Since copies of a spell aren't cast, the spell's copies aren't affected. So you can cast it, but you can't cast anything else for the rest of the game. Okay. So that's definitely a late game, try to pull out a win. But definitely, I mean, that is some pretty cuteness on that. And it says, I like the flavor text. I'm not cheating. I'm just adding new rules. So, definitely a lot of good cuteness right there. I like that. All right. And that's it. That is 20 ways to win. So what are y'all's thoughts on this new commander deck from Secret Lair? Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. In the meantime, don't forget to give us a like, give us a subscribe. Just again, for hanging out with us today, here are a couple of more... Oh, that one's upside down. A couple more MTG Arena codes, just for hanging out with us. Again, like I said, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Turn on notifications so you know when the next video drops, so you can come grab these codes and hang out with me. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all as we go through this fun little YouTube journey. All right, and that is it for this episode of Breaking Boxes. Once again, I'm Seth, your Mild Mannered Mage, wishing everybody happy magicking. We'll see you next time.